brown stain of years holding its breath above her, as if it might finally fall and end the conversation. Cigarette smoke curls in the light, like it's learning to write her name, then forgetting halfway. The bartender polishes the same old glass, a small clear moon orbiting no one in particular. On her stool she is a question mark in a black dress, bent over a drink no one ordered for her. Time moves slow in this place, like a record left turning long after the song is done. Just the whisper, just the weight of something that used to be music. She counts the seconds in ash, falling, failing, vanishing, hears them land on the wood of the bar. Tiny funerals for everything she never said. Lipstick stain on the rim, a crooked eclipse, eating the edge of the empty that waits in the glass. Her fingers rest on the counter, scarred grain, 2 inches away from the small cold shape sleeping in her purse. The hidden gun is not a threat tonight, only a secret vertebra in a spine of old habits and bad exits. Outside, a siren sighs itself to sleep. Inside, ice melts slowly, becoming what it always was, too late to matter. Puddles of cheap cologne and broken laughter, leaving a trail only she bothers to follow. She watches the minutes dissolve in the burn of her throat, each swallow a doorway she does not walk through, just leans against until it disappears. Somewhere, someone is touching her name with clean hands and a clear conscience, but not here. Here, her shadow arrives first, takes the corner seat, orders patience, straight no ice, lets it warm in the glass until it tastes like regret. She smiles at nothing, at everything, at the way the clock above the bottles ticks in a language no one has the heart to translate. Time moves slow in this place, a tired magician pulling the same long knife from the same black sleeve. She is alone, the way a locked door is alone, full of fingerprints and honest questions. She sits like a rumor no one tells out loud. Back to the mirror, face to the door. Cigarette ash holding on longer than it should. Smoke curling upward, finding the only light left in this room. Time moves sideways in the glass behind her. Eyes ticking, soft as teeth against the rim. Lipstick smoke and silence, that's all the night remembers. A red half moon pressed on a lonely rim. Lipstick smoke and silence, her shadow pouring thinner. Minute by minute she's drinking, she's disappearing again. She counts the bottles by the labels she can't read. Lets a second stacking crooked towers on the bar. There's a metal secret resting at her hip. Cold punctuation on a story no one asked her to explain. The clock above the doorway doesn't tick, it just stares. Hands too tired to point anywhere but down. Lipstick smoke and silence, that's all the night remembers. It's a red half moon pressed on a lonely rim. Lipstick smoke and silence, her shadow pouring thinner. Minute by minute she's drinking, she's disappearing again. Practicing bleaching color from someone else's sky. In here, the air grows heavy with almost questions. I slide past her like slow cars in thick rain. She touches the glass as if it might answer. Thumb smearing the stain into a small, quiet wound. Lipstick smoke and silence, that's all the night remembers. It's a red half moon pressed on a lonely rim. Lipstick smoke and silence, her shadow pouring thinner. Minute by minute she's drinking, she's disappearing. Lipstick smoke and silence, name her, then forget her. One more whisper, lost in the curl of light and time. She sits at the far end of the bar, where the mirror refuses to be honest. Cigarette smoke curling slow like a question no one answers. answers. Ash trembles, then falls, tiny gray snowfall in the yellow air. She watches it as if it were a year, dropping off the calendar. The ice in her glass has stopped arguing. One cube holds the last of the light, another holds her reflection, broken into corners. Lipstick, smoke, and time, that's all that's left in here. A red mouth on the rim of a glass, waiting for someone who won't appear. The room keeps breathing in and out, she just forgets to run. Alone with the slow passage of time. Voices behind her grow soft at the edges, conversations blur into a single low river that never reaches shore. She stares at the door like it owes her something, like it promised to open for the right pair of footsteps, but the hinges only sigh for strangers. In her purse, metal sleeves pressed against leather, like a second colder heart. It listens for her pulse, for the moment when silence gets too loud. The clock above the bottles moves in afterthoughts, not seconds, just small apologies. Each tick a fingertip on her shoulder, each talk another name she won't remember. Lipstick, smoke, and time, that's all that's left in here. A red mouth on the rim of a glass, waiting for someone who won't appear. The room keeps breathing in and out, she just forgets to run. Alone with the slow passage of time. She could stand, she could leave, but the night outside is just a larger bar. Same tired neon halo over different tired faces. Her fingers trace the glass, round and round a quiet orbit, a small obedient planet. Every circle erases the last thought, every circle polishes the ghost of a kiss she gave away. Smoke halos her hair, turning memory into weather. She breathes it in, holds it, lets it ache, then lets it go. Lipstick, smoke, and time, that's all that's left in here. A red mouth on the rim of a glass, waiting for someone who won't appear. The room keeps breathing in and out, she just forgets to run. Alone with the slow passage of time. The bartender wipes at the same invisible stain. Ice clinks like a polite reminder. She finishes what's left of the light, leaves the red mark like a warning or a promise. Then she stays exactly where she is, while another minute slides past her shoulder and sits down in the empty stool beside her. a ceiling fan, slowly stirring ghosts, pulling the room into tight circles. Ice sinks in a glass that's sweating like it knows the story ends here. She is the pause between last call and dawn, gun beneath the velvet, heart beneath the gun. She is the stain on a glass that won't be washed. A name is heard on purpose, a promise left on mute. She is the pause between last call and dawn, gun beneath the velvet, time beneath her thumb. Lipstick print, crooked, a small red crescent cut out of the night. Smoke climbs slowly, practicing escape, then gives up in the yellow air. Her eyes drag over empty chairs, each one a different ending. She is the pause between last call and dawn, gun beneath the velvet, heart beneath the gun. She is the stain on a glass that won't be washed. A name is heard on purpose, a promise left on mute. She is the pause between last call and dawn, gun beneath the velvet, time beneath her thumb. The clock coughs and keeps going, a tired animal too stubborn to lie down. Seconds peel away, soft as matchbook paper, curling, curling, falling into her lap. Somewhere forgets her, bit by bit like a dream, misfiled at waking. Here, she forgets them first. She is the pause between last call and dawn, gun beneath the velvet, heart beneath the gun. She is the stain on a glass that won't be washed. A name is heard on purpose, a promise left on mute. She is a pause between last call and dawn, gun beneath the velvet, time beneath her thumb. Smoke, a thin rope unraveling upward, lipstick cooling on thick clear glass. Her hand resting just a breath above the weight. The room already remembering her wrong. She sits backlit by a tired neon echo, cigarette smoke curling upward, trying to remember another shape of her own name. Ice hums in the glass, lipstick stained like a failed promise, pressed too hard, then left to dry. There is a clock somewhere behind her shoulder. Its hands move like reluctant apologies. The bartender polishes the bar again and again, rubbing years into the wood until even the grain forgets its tree. She is waiting for nothing, and everything comes late. Time drips down the side of her glass. She is dressed like an answer to a question no one asked. Lipstick, smoke and silence, the only things that last. The gun rests hidden in the hush of her purse, warm from her thigh, cold in its intentions. She counts exits instead of blessings, measures distance in shadows between doorways, and the slow sway of strangers' coats. Outside rain argues with the pavement, tiny desperate fists inside her thoughts move slower than the tired ceiling fan. She inhales until the room sharpens then blurs, a theater of soft edges where every face looks borrowed. She is waiting for nothing, and everything comes late. Time drips down the side of her glass. She is dressed like an answer to a question no one asked. Lipstick, smoke and silence, the only things that last. Minutes pile like ash, fragile towers on the tray. One breath and the whole evening tilts. She imagines speaking, but the words stay seated, cross-laid in her chest, refusing to be served. Once she believed touch could erode the future. Now she traces the rim of the glass as if it were a map back home. She is waiting for nothing, and everything comes late. Time drips down the side of her glass. She is dressed like an answer to a question no one asked. Lipstick, smoke and silence, the only things that last. She leaves a stain on the counter, a small red eclipse stands slowly like a curtain lifting for an empty stage. The door sighs behind her, smoke hangs unwilling to follow. The clock continues unimpressed. Somewhere in the room a chair remembers her shape, the hidden weight of metal and the quiet decision not to use it. She sits like a question that never gets asked. Back bent slightly toward the door, eyes fixed on the middle distance where nothing happens for a very long time. Cigarette, slow comet of orange ash, falling in quiet avalanches toward the same black saucer, hour after hour, night after night. Smoke curls up, finding the one strip of tired light above the bar mirror, drawing silver hieroglyphs that no one here can read. This is how the minutes bleed. One breath, one drag, one stare through the glass, lipstick on the rim, the only color that refuses to fade. She waits for something that already happened. She waits for someone who never existed. And time just leans against the jukebox, counting her heartbeat slow. Her dress dark as a locked room, hand brushing the chrome of the stool, a loose thread dangling like the last excuse someone will ever get. In her bag, a small weight, cold and patient, pressed against leather, a promise made in metal to no one in particular. The bartender polishes the same clean glass again and again, eyes sliding past her the way seconds slip past midnight. On the counter, a lipstick stain, half moon, soft wound clinging to the rim, the ghost of a word she almost said. This is how the minutes bleed. One breath, one drag, one stare through the glass, lipstick on the rim, the only color that refuses to fade. She waits for something that already happened. She waits for someone who never existed. And time just leans against the jukebox, counting her heartbeat slow. Outside, a siren yawns and the distance takes it back, decides against the urgency inside. The clock over the bottles forgets to move its hands, lets the second hand hang on the same small tick, just long enough to feel like forever. She taps ash like a signal to a ship that sank years ago. The smoke answer in soft spirals, rising, falling, rising. Her fingers rest on the strap of the bag, casual, careless, devoted to what waits inside. This is how the minutes bleed. One breath, one drag, one stare through the glass, lipstick on the rim, the only color that refuses to fade. She waits for something that already happened. She waits for someone who never existed. And time just leans against the jukebox, counting her heartbeat slow. Last call comes like a rumor, mouthed not spoken. She stands a slow eclipse of neon, chair sighing back into place. Cigarette burning down to its final faithful ember. At the bar, the glass remains, lipstick bruise along its edge, a small bright wound left open for the morning. She walks into the hallway, shadow, heels ticking, soft and distant, a metronome for the end of something. No one will remember except the gun settling in her bag, and the smoke still curling in the light long after she is gone. Half past yesterday, on the cracked face of a crooked clock over the bottles, she sits in the bruise-colored corner, legs crossed like crossed out names, one heel keeping time with a song nobody asked for. She is a lipstick ghost in the glass, waiting for the ice to forget her. Sip by slow dissolving sip. She is the quiet hush before closing, the empty chair beside the wound of the door. She is the longest minute that never quite decides to pass. Cigarette smoke draws off question marks above her shoulder, curling, uncurling as if changing its mind mid-sentence. Ash falls like gray confetti for a party that never started and never will. The bartender polishes the same patch of wood until it shines like old secrets, refusing to speak. She is a lipstick ghost in the glass, waiting for the ice to forget her. Sip by slow dissolving sip. She is the quiet hush before closing, the empty chair beside the wound of the door. She is the longest minute that never quite decides to pass. presses her ribs, a hidden shape hard as an answer. She promised herself she would never give. She weighs the metal against the miles between one heartbeat and the next, and finds they are the same. Outside, rain traces slow veins down the blackened window. Time leaking from a sky too tired to hold itself together. Inside, a radio in the kitchen murmurs someone else's sorrow, soft and distant, like a memory out of order. Her reflection floats in the bar mirror, half vapor, half verdict. Eyes like locked doors no one remembers how to open. She is a lipstick ghost in the glass, waiting for the ice to forget her. Sip by slow dissolving sip. She is the quiet hush before closing, the empty chair beside the wound of the door. She is the longest minute that never quite decides to pass. Last drag, embers breathing, then gone. Last drop, a red ring around an absence. She rises, slow eclipse of the stool, a shadow peeling away from the wall. The door swings, lets in the wet night, lets out her perfume and the faint scent of danger. On the counter, smoke still twists in the light, and the glass wears her mouth like a promise that stayed just long enough to leave a mark. Clock drips, one red second at a time. She counts them on the back of her teeth. Cigarette amber, small stubborn sun, hovering over yesterday's ash. She's elbows and ankles folded into a corner stool, coat still on like she might leave if time ever moves. She waits for nothing in particular, for everything in general, for the slow, soft bruise of another hour. She breathes through a curtain of smoke, through the ghost of her own perfume, through names she forgot to learn. She waits in the half-light, half-life, quiet as a held breath, sharp as the secret in her lap. Glass sweating under tired fingers, lipstick print, a crooked crescent, small red crime left at the scene. Ice melt softer than apologies, thinner than excuses, time diluting every bitter thing she ordered. Behind her eyes, a hallway of closed doors, every handle cold, every lock familiar. She waits for the room to empty, for the past to take a hint, for the future to stop staring from the mirror. She drinks to taste the ticking fate, to feel something move, even if it's only the glass toward her mouth. She waits in the hum between songs, in the crackle of someone else's laughter, alone even when the bar is full. Gunmetal sleeping against her thigh, small heart promise in a world that only offers maybe. Her head never moves, but the weight is a word, spelled in steel under soft fabric. Outside rain rehearses its same old monologue, on taxis, on trash, on tired roofs. Another city night dressed like the last. Inside the smoke, right circles around the ceiling light, each ring a slow eclipse, each ring a year she almost felt. She waits for the question that won't be asked, for the danger that's running late, for the mercy of an early closing time. She lives between heartbeat and habit, between first drag and final ash, between the lie and the leaving. She waits, ash on the rim, kiss on the glass, time on its knees, crawling past her stool. The band fades to brushes and breath, piano barely holding the room together. She stubs out the night in a chipped tin tray. One last exhale, a thin gray ribbon climbing nowhere in particular, then gone like she was never here at all. She sits in the slow drip of a broken clock afternoon, disguised as midnight. Cigarette smoke curls upward like a question no one dares to answer. Her shadow spills off the bar stool, longer than her body, thinner than her patience. Her lipstick stain bleeds on the rim of a glass she keeps almost empty. Time moves like heavy velvet curtains, inch by inch, refusing to fall. She is the pause between one breath and the next, lasting forever. Lipstick, smoke in slow time, she hums to herself a song no one else will remember. The bartender polishes the same spot on the same wood in the same way. His eyes slide past her as if she were fog and not a body. deep. In her purse, metal weights, patient as winter, silent as a sealed room. Her fingers trace the curve of the glass, not the cold of the hidden shape she already knows by heart. Time moves like heavy velvet curtains, inch by inch, refusing to fall. She is the pause between one breath and the next, lasting forever. Lipstick, smoke, and slow time. She hums to herself a song no one else will remember. Outside, tires hiss on wet pavement. Faces smear past the window like names she forgot to learn. Inside, the air is thick with stories she did not quite survive. Her reflection wavers in the mirror of bottles. Two women sharing the same tired smile. She toasts the stranger on the other side of the glass and drinks to her own absence. Ash drops like gray snow, no season claims it. A laugh from the far end of the room arrives already tired, wearing someone else's perfume. She waits for nothing and for everything to end. The gun, a small dark moon, pulling at her tight from the hollow of her bag. Time moves like heavy velvet curtains, inch by inch, refusing to fall. She is the pause between one breath and the next, lasting forever. Lipstick, smoke, and slow time. She hums to herself a song no one else will remember. The ice in her glass gives a last soft crack, a tiny fracture in the night. She presses her thumb over the lipstick print, erasing herself in slow motion. Then stillness, thick as dust, settles on her shoulders like an old fur coat. Somewhere a clock restarts, but in this bar time just leans back and sighs. Her shadow sits a half step left of the chair, like it arrived before she did. Cigarette smoke curls into slow handwriting, spelling nothing on the yellow light. Lipstick dark as a secret, cling clings to the rim of the glass, an orbit of one around melting ice. The clock behind the bottles doesn't tick, it exhales between seconds. Ashes on the hour hand, time burns down in quiet spirals. Every breath a borrowed room, every blink a dimming sign. She drinks the distance between now and never. Alone is a country with her name on the borderline. The bartender wipes the counter in shrinking circles, erasing faces that never quite appear. Her heels rest like closed parentheses around a silence no one interrupts. In the small of her back, a cold little promise, pressed metal, sleepless, learning her breathing. She smiles at nothing, a slow sideways eclipse, as if the night just told her a dying joke. Ashes on the hour hand, time burns down in quiet spirals. Every breath a borrowed room, every blink a dimming sign. She drinks the distance between now and never. Alone is a country with her name on the borderline. Outside, sirens smear red thoughts on wet pavement, but in here, sound walks in soft stockings. Ice cracks in her glass like a distant camera flash, catching a life she never chose to live. The gun waits patient under dark fabric weather, counting heartbeats instead of minutes. Her reflection in the mirror arrives a fraction late, a stranger wearing her mouth. Ashes on the hour hand, time burns down in quiet spirals. Every breath a borrowed room, every blink a dimming sign. She drinks the distance between now and never. Alone is a country with her name on the borderline. Smoke thins, stitches of ghost thread unravel from the ceiling. Then the glass leaves a circle of lipstick gravity on the polished wood. She stands in time, remembers to move one reluctant step. Then the door closes around her like a slow black tide. leans on its elbows over cheek oak and spilled stories, watching her breathe in someone else's perfume. Cigarette smoke writes soft hieroglyphs in the light, curling, erasing itself before it can finish a sentence. She sits like a question no one answers, heels hooked on the bar rung, eyes counting the bottles, the bottles, the bottles. Time drips off the clock, snow is syrup on home, sweet, sticky, useless. She's a pause in the middle of a word, a lipstick waiting out the clock on glass, yet mouth pursed when his mouth was. Only the stain remembers him. She is a startled in a borrowed dress, heart talk sharp in the small of a bag, invisible weight in a hidden gun, cold as him he promised her. Ice clinks, a fragile constellation in her glass, melting into nothing like every name she ever believed. The mirror behind the bottles shows strangers back at her, their laughter warped and slow, like an old film burning in the reel. She stares through her own reflection, sees someone else wearing the bow, has she been here, counting the seconds between blinks, tracing circles in a water ring, watching the night drink itself empty, blast her smoke to lungs, pray to ceiling, all of it fading before it lands. She thinks that she holds still enough. The years might stumble past her, too tired to ask her name. She's a passing of middle-level work, of the stick waiting out the clock on glass, red mouth pressed where his mouth was, only to stain remembers his. He is a shadow in a borrowed dress, head down shut in the small of her back, invisible weight in the hidden dark, cold as her apron. She sits on the edge of a bar stool like a question asked 100 years ago. Cigarette smoke curling in the thin yellow light, a slow ghost making circles of regret. Lipstick stain on the rim, dark red moon eclipsing clear glass, tied of fingerprints in silence. She is here and nowhere at the same soft time, counting seconds in ash, watching minutes drip down the long neck of a bottle. Time moves sideways through her shadow, slides off her shoulder onto the floor. She is here and nowhere at the same soft time. The room mumbles names she will never answer to, ice cracking in distant glasses like tiny earthquakes under her skin. In her bag, a little weight colder than the gin, heavy as an unsaid word, metal tucked under folded handkerchief, sleeping snake, dreaming of thunder. She traces the lip of the glass, slow orbit of a planet going dark, one fingertip at a time. She is here and nowhere at the same soft time, counting seconds in ash, watching minutes drip down the long neck of a bottle. Time moves sideways through her shadow, slides off her shoulder onto the floor. She is here and nowhere at the same soft time. She remembers nothing clearly, faces blur into smoke and spilled salt. The laugh behind her breaks, then bends into a cough. The clock above the bottles has forgotten how to tick, hands frozen in a tired, crooked prayer. She breathes in burning paper, stale perfume breathes out years she never chose. Outside She lifts the glass, lipstick moon meeting its own reflection, swallows one more orbit of someone else's life. Cigarette smoke curls unhurried, writing her name where no one can read it. She is here and nowhere at the same soft time. She is here and nowhere at the same soft time. Already leaving long before the door. Ash falls, glass empties, light flickers. The bar stool turns a fraction, then stops. Low ceiling, brown ceiling, pressing down slow. Cigarette ash, thinking of falling, then changing his mind. Smoke draws circles, quiet halos over her black dress, over bare shoulders, over the bruise of a long day. A lipstick stain turns on the rim of a glass. It's like a planet stuck in its orbit. Eyes sighs once, then forgets. The clock on the wall clears his throat, but does not speak. She is alone in the room full of faces. She is the pause between seconds, lipstick slowest time, eyes like locked doors that open on nothing. Every breath she takes is an hour, every hour another drink gone dry. Bar light flickers, dreams in sepia. Her reflection fractured in the bottles. 5 of her, all of them tired, all of them turning away at once. A black purse closed like a mouth inside. A cold little certainty, a hidden weight waiting for a word that never arrives. Metal heart tapping against leather, impatient, patient, the only thing here that remembers tomorrow. She is alone in the room full of faces. She is the pause between seconds, lipstick slowest time, eyes like locked doors that open on nothing. Every breath she takes is an hour, every hour another drink gone dry. Outside rain rehearses, falling forever. Inside the jukebox hums a song about someone else. She watches the door, not for a person, for an this night. Cigarette down to his fragile spine, smoke writing her name, then losing the letters, the glass empty, save for the smear of red and sugar. Her hand on the purse, light as apology, heavy as a verdict. She is alone in the room full of faces. She is the pause between seconds, lipstick slow as time, eyes like locked doors that open on nothing. Every breath she takes is an hour, every hour another drink gone dry. Last ash falls like a quiet answer. The clock moves but refuses to hurry. She stands, but the bar stool still remembers her. Somewhere a door closes very softly, and the night goes on without her, without anyone at all. She sits at the far edge of the mirror, where faces smear into colors and names evaporate. Cigarette smoke curling like a tired thought trying to stand. The clock over the bottles is stuck between two numbers, still ticking, still lying. Red mouth print tilted on the rim of her glass like a small mistake she left on purpose. Smoke in the hourglass falling upward slowly, nobody watching, everyone looking away. She sips at the silence until it thins, translucent. Time moves but refuses to arrive. Smoke in the hourglass, her shadow drinking first. Every second another faded photograph. Ice clinks once, then forgets how to speak. A slow melt in a room that never thaws. She measures herself in the rings on the table, water stains from evenings that dissolve. Inside the leather of her purse, a cold small weight, patient as a closed door, breathing with her pulse. The bartender tries the same glass for a year and a day, eyes fixed on a spot just left of her shoulder. Smoke in the hourglass falling upward slowly, nobody watching, everyone looking away. like a tired carousel. Smoke in the hourglass, her shadow drinking first. Every second, another faded photograph. How long can a heart sit on a bar stool before it forgets it was built to move? In the window's blackened glass, she is a rumor of herself, a question in a stranger's coat. There is a gun, and there is a heartbeat, and there is a choice that never quite decides. Smoke in the hourglass, falling upward slowly, nobody watching, everyone looking away. She sips at the silence until it's empty. Weightless time on buttons and slips into the dark. Smoke in the hourglass, her shadow drinking first. Every second, another faded photograph. She sits at the far end, half in shadow, half in somebody's memory. Cigarette, a small red star in her fingers. Smoke climbing, slow staircase to nowhere. Ice eyes in the glass, diluting something strong, the way years dilute a promise. Her heels hooked on the stool rung, like she's ready to run or never move again. Lipstick hourglass, tilted on its side, each falling grain, another stranger passing by. She waits for nothing, and it still comes late. Time drips from the rim of her drink. Lipstick hourglass, print on crystal fading. She presses her mouth to the mark, chasing her own ghost. Neon leaks across her cheekbone, turning her pale profile blue, then bruised. The laugh cracks open the room. She doesn't turn, just traces the wet ring on the bar top, orbit after orbit, wearing a groove into the wood. Under silk, her weight at her ribs cold, precise, a small secret vertebra in a second spine. She breathes around it, counts her inhales like rosary beads, smoke for incense, silence for prayer. Lipstick hourglass, tilted on its side, each falling grain, another stranger passing by. She waits for nothing, and it still comes late. Time drips from the rim of her drink. Lipstick hourglass, print on crystal fade, and she presses her mouth to the mark, chasing her own goal. misplaced.